had started feeling a little sick. I was feeling a little off. And in the middle of the night, my fiance ended up rushing me to the nearest hospital. And that's when they told me that I was about 4 centimeters dilated and that the baby wanted to come out. He was at the time 25 weeks and 1 day gestational. And from there, it was really mind-boggling to me, like really, really to the point, everything was like a blur. And feeling that sense of, uncertainty, dread, and fear mixed in. First thing I thought was, shoot, how am I going to get a hold of, my management to let them know that this unexpected arrival and my need to activate my maternity leave. But at the same time, I was scared. And then that honestly got shoved all the way in the back of my head because I was more focused on increasing the chances of survival for my son. Once I spoke with HR, I felt like the situation went from supportive to it shifted. It definitely shifted. But for this to happen when my son's life is on the line and I'm in this whole basket of just somewhere between fear, despair, anxiety, frustration, depression, and uncertainty, I really felt like that all just kind of fell apart from the bottom, and they didn't really, in a way, support me how I was expecting it. I really felt betrayed. The head surgeon who specializes with micropreemings had directly called me and said, you need to come in. I believe he's in bad need of surgery, and if he doesn't receive the surgery, he can potentially get even more sick within the next several hours. I felt like I got slammed, by a freight train. And then all of a sudden, and out of nowhere, I get terminated. I had received that during his surgery. I had received a notice during his surgery, and I got so mad, I literally had to just leave the room to breathe. So you can imagine the amount of stress getting piled on of just, oh, crap, I just lost my job. My son's in surgery right now, fighting for his life. How do you climb out of that hole? Especially when you have an obligation to your job, but then you have an obligation to yourself as the person who's going through this trauma, and an obligation to your family. My attending doctor who was going through the approval with EDD had said that she felt like something was off, and I'm not understanding why they had terminated you while you're on leave, but I would strongly suggest that you look into it. At the time, I had so much on my plate, and I didn't want to go through the whole seeking legal advice and having to talk with an attorney. But after much continuous mental straining from not having a job, and then of course my personal funds going down, my therapist in particular was like, give it a try. She's like, it's important that your rights as a worker are protected, especially when you are a parent of a NICU baby and this is going on. That's the last thing that should have been on your plate. Family leave, I believe, is very important. It's critical because it allows the parents to be there and to focus on their child in the NICU. It could be basically a big difference between being able to be at the bedside of your child or being in the position where you have to go back to work. A lot of the bulk when it came to FMLA or paid family leave was primarily through your social worker. Even if a NICU doctor isn't as knowledgeable as a social worker when it comes to the ins and outs of paid family leave, they can approach the social worker and say, hey, Dr. So-and-so mentioned that there is paid family leave available. How can I start that process and when can I start it? So I encourage a lot of parents of NICU babies to be able to reach out to their hospital social worker as soon as possible and see what they qualify for. And if they have any hiccups in between with communications between their job management or HR and that of the NICU, the social worker becomes that much as an important. I hope that, with my story and my son's story, that there are people, loving, caring, supportive people out there who are willing to step up to the bat and support them 100% of the way. I want parents to remember that their job primarily is to be a parent, and don't be afraid to speak up when you're not sure about something. Because if I wasn't encouraged to speak up, again, we would be talking a totally different tune and situation. A year ago, I wasn't sure if he was going to even make it before he came out. To see him so vibrant and full of life, I am very grateful for everyone who has been involved in this journey and continues to be supportive as my journey and journey with my family continues on.